Hello people of YouTube, welcome back to another edition of Pro Tips Betting. Today it's April the 3rd. Quickly going through yesterday's betting tips. We had Manchester United or a draw versus Wolverhampton. This ended up sadly a 2-1 win to Wolverhampton, as Manchester United played a bad game, I would say, with even a red card pretty early in the game. AC Alkmaar or a draw versus Vitesse was a win, ended up 2-2. And also for the optional down here, Swansea or a draw versus Brentford. I believe Swansea won here 2-0. 3-0 actually. So sadly started off this month with a loss. But it's another day, and we'll go ahead here and uncheck yesterday's games. Going over to today's games. We will today take with us the Premier League games, of course, the French League, the Italy League, Spain as well. I think today we will skip the Netherlands. We do have here Ajax, of course, who probably will win this game, but the odds are only on 111. I don't know if this how well this is actually a game where you could play a handicap bet and boost the odds up to the 120, 125. This is as well a top versus bottom, but I can see right here that Emmen does still have a chance to survive this season. So it might be a tough one for Ajax, but you can also see Ajax won 5-0 the two last, this one's all the way from 2012, but the last game at least, 5-0 Ajax. They should win this one pretty big, and you could probably play it with a handicap bet. Going further down, should also have the league in France. Also a cup game in Denmark, but we will skip this one today. France here with PSG. And also Scotland. Should be some games here. Scotland. Do also have Sporting versus Benfica in the cup today. This is though the second leg, where Benfica won the first one. It could go either way, so I would recommend a draw or just stay away from this one. Won't be on the safe bet for me, at least. Scotland Premiership, Celtic. We'll take with us Celtic at least. Can quickly check Rangers as well. Rangers are in a bad form right now. They slightly won the last game, so I will look away from this one as well. Hope that's fine with you. That should get us up to at least 10 games, 17 games actually. Okay, let's go. Starting off with the first one, Chelsea versus Brighton. Should be, of course, a easy home win. Bookmakers have Chelsea at 128. Checking the standings, Chelsea are of course fighting still for this top 4 position, and Brighton are pretty much done for the season. Might need a couple of more points for to survive the relegation, but this won't be the game for them. The last 5 as well, Chelsea with 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. Brighton with 3 wins and 2 losses. Chelsea won the last game 2-1, and they should win this one pretty easily today, but they have had some tough games lately. So I don't know if Chelsea will be on the safe bet, but they should absolutely win the game here. Next one, and probably the safest of the day, sadly to say, because I am a Liverpool fan, but Manchester City should have no problems with this game. Odds though are only on 106. Could probably play this a handicap bet, which we can quickly check on Unibet. I believe a handicap bet here, -1 goal, for example, is probably only on 112, 115, something like that. 117 actually. So not really appealing, and the -2 goals is on 150, but that might be just too much really. I might end up stay away from this one as well. But of course, Manchester City should easily win this game. We will go ahead though and check the head-to-head. Where you can see Cardiff has 4 losses the last 5. Manchester City won the last game versus Cardiff 5-0. Should be again a big win here, but more than -2 on the handicap bet is quite risky, I would say. Next one, Tottenham on the new stadium today versus Crystal Palace. 145 for Tottenham, which is pretty decent. Crystal Palace though is a dangerous team who can score some goals. Last 5, you can see Tottenham with 3 losses, 1 win, 1 draw, where Crystal Palace has 3 losses and 2 wins. Crystal Palace actually won the last game between the teams 2-0. This was though in the FA Cup. And in the league earlier, Tottenham won 1-0. Standings as well. Tottenham are also, of course, fighting for this top 4 position. And the Crystal Palace here are pretty much safe from relegation and more or less done for the season with nothing left to play for. So should be a Tottenham win here, paying 145 again. Just a quick note for Tottenham on my notes here. Over to France, Montpellier versus Guingamp. Checking the standings, we can see that Montpellier are on a 8th and Guingamp are on relegation and pretty much relegated already, so nothing to play for really there. Does then feel like a Montpellier victory, but we will also check the last 5, where you can see Montpellier has 3 losses, 1 draw and 1 win. And Guingamp has 2 losses, 2 wins and 1 draw. They did play 2 draw games, the last 2 games, 1-1. It could, of course, easily end up a draw here today again. So a home or draw on this one. But I do, again, feel like Montpellier does have the upper hand. Nothing too big on the injury list for the teams either. Strasbourg versus Reims is the next one. Some players out for both teams, as you can see. Checking the standings, we see that Reims are on a 6th position, still pushing for that 4th. And Strasbourg, again here, a team that is pretty much done for the season. Safe from relegation and won't make it up to the top 4 position either. Last 5. Strasbourg with 3 draws, actually 4. One of them ended up a win and 1 loss. Reims though has 3 wins and 2 draws. Last time the teams met, Reims won 2-1, and the game before that was a 3-3. Would absolutely recommend here to play a draw on a high output bet slip on this one. Over to Italy, we got Napoli versus Empoli. Does immediately feel like Napoli should win this game. Odds are on 161. They do have Insigne and Mertens out, so quite some good players there. Checking the last 5, Empoli has 3 losses, 1 win and 1 draw, where Napoli has 3 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw. Napoli won the last game 5-1. Checking the standings as well, Napoli are on a 2nd place, will probably stay on that 2nd with their 10 points clear from the 3rd. And Empoli are more or less relegated, but they still do have a chance to survive, with Bologna being on only 27. So Empoli will fight for their lives in this game, and as I mentioned, Mertens and Insigne are out. So it could be a tough one for Napoli, this one. I would recommend playing live on this one. Check out the statistics after about 20 minutes. Also, of course, check the lineups. Next one, Roma versus Fiorentina. Some players out for Roma. Fiorentina are more or less good. Pastore, Manolas and El Shaarawy. Florenzi, of course, is also out. Pretty decent odds on Roma today, with 2 in odds from Bet365. Checking the standings here. Roma are desperate to come up to the top 6 position here for Europa play next season, and Fiorentina are more or less done for the season as well. So should be a Roma victory here. Strange thing here though, as you can see, Fiorentina won against Roma in the cup 7-1 last time the teams met, and before that it was a 1-1. So this one as well should be a Roma victory, but I would play this one live as well, as Roma are in a bad shape right now with 4 losses in the last 5. So do play this live. Check out the statistics after about 20 minutes. Can of course quickly check for the double chance as well on this one. As Roma really shouldn't lose the game, but like with Manchester United yesterday, you just never know in football. A double chance does pay 127 though, but I would absolutely recommend playing this live, as the odds on Roma are already up to 2 in odds. Next one, Frosinone versus Parma. These are 2 teams in bad shape, 4 losses and 3 losses the last 5. They played a 0-0 last time the teams met, and Parma won 2-0 before that. Checking the standings, Frosinone are already relegated with only 17 points. Should make Parma kind of favorites really, but they don't really have anything to play for either. So I would recommend to stay away from this game, or of course play it live and check the stats after some minutes played. Genoa versus Inter, next one. Nothing huge on the injury list. Standings, Inter on a 3rd with 53. Pretty much good for the top 4 or at least top 6 position, but they would absolutely need, like, I guess 7 points more to make it sure they will stay in the top 4. And they are playing Genoa, which are on 11th place with only 33 points, and again pretty much done for the season. So this should be a Inter victory. Last 5 though, 2 losses for Genoa, 2 draws and 1 win, where Inter has 2 losses, 2 wins and 1 draw. Inter won the last game 5-0. and I do feel like it should be a 2-3-0 here, even though they are playing away today. Genoa won the game before that though, 2-0. But again, I do absolutely feel Inter should win this one, and bookmakers have the odds at 2. We will also check for the double chance. But that is probably down to 130 or something. 124 for the double chance on Inter. That is absolutely safe if you ask me. The double chance. Some quick notes. My papers there again. Next one, Spal versus Lazio. Standings. Lazio on a 5th, or a split 5th, with Atalanta on a 6th, both on 48 points. So Lazio want to win this game, of course. Spal, though, are close to relegation. Would probably prefer getting 5 more points this season. This could be a tough game for Lazio. Nothing on the injury list, only Lukaku, the back is out. The last 5 as well. You can see Spal has 2 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw, where Lazio has 3 wins and 2 draws. Last time the teams met as well, 4-1 Lazio, and before that 3-0 Lazio. So I would play a Lazio game here today, but again, Spal is close to relegation and they do need a couple of more points, but this is probably not a game where they will get any points at all. I do believe then Lazio will probably be on my safe bet slip. Next and last for Serie A, Italy, Torino versus Sampdoria. Nothing huge on the injury list. Checking the standings. The teams are on 8th and 9th position with 45 points each. Still a slight chance to make it into the top 6 and Europa play. Checking last 5. Torino has 3 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw, where Sampdoria has 4 wins and 1 loss. Torino, though, won the last game between the teams 4-1. Before that, it was a 1-1 draw. Do predict this one to be yet another draw today, paying about 320. Quickly noting on my papers again. Over to Spain, Athletic Bilbao versus Levante. Not too much on the injury list. Aduriz is still out. Standings, Bilbao on a 8th, still pushing for that top 6 Europa placement, and Levante are on a 15th with 32 points. Could still actually fall down to relegation, so they do want to pick some more points here, but I do believe Bilbao are favorites to win this game. Bilbao with 2 wins, 2 draws and 1 loss the last 5. Levante has 2 draws, 1 win and 2 losses. Levante actually won the last game 3-0, and before that they also won 3-1. I do though believe Bilbao is gonna be tougher in this game here, but it might end up a draw, which pays 450. And they play for 144 on Bilbao. Just isn't really appealing, so I would play a draw game on this one on a high output bet slip for the bigger odds. Next is Eibar versus Rayo. These are 2 teams. Eibar on 11th with 36, pretty much nothing to play for here, where Rayo is on relegation with 24 and they can still make it out of relegation. so this will be a really tough game for Eibar at least. Check in the head-to-head. You can see that Eibar has 3 draws, 1 loss and 1 win the last 5, where Rayo has 1 draw and 4 losses. Rayo won the last game 1-0, and it was a draw before that. This could be the gem of the day with Rayo on 475, but it could also, of course, easily end up a draw on 4 in odds. So for me, nothing safe with this one, but could make it to the a fun bet slip with the 475 on Rayo, who again are pushing the pace probably not to relegate in this game. By the way, they were on 5 in odds this morning. So the odds has dropped a bit on Rayo Vallecano. Next one, Huesca versus Celta Vigo. Immediately feels like a Celta Vigo victory. Nothing huge on the injury list for Celta. 5 players out for Huesca. Odds actually quite even. Celta Vigo are actually underdogs here on 280. Checking the standings, we can see that Celta Vigo are on 18th, only in need of 2-3 points to get above the relegation line here, and Huesca are pretty much done for the season with only 22. So for me again, I don't know why the bookmakers has made Celta Vigo the underdogs here. With Huesca with nothing to play for. Huesca 3 losses last 5, 1 win, 1 draw, and Celta Vigo with actually the same stats here. We can also check on Unibet for the double play. Celta Vigo should be about 170 or something, 152. Kind of low, but this should be absolutely secure. Okay, next and last game in Spain this afternoon. Valencia versus Real Madrid. Nothing huge on the injury list. Courtois is of course out. Real Madrid are actually odds to 240 today. Very good if you ask me. They do of course want to push the pace to get this second place in the league, and Valencia also of course want to stay in this top 6 position. So this might actually be a tough one for Real Madrid here, and they aren't actually in the best form ever this season. But they do have Zidane back, which probably will pick up the pace a little bit. Valencia with 3 wins and 2 draws last 5, and Real Madrid has 3 wins and 2 losses. 2 losses being though the Champions League game with against Ajax and the El Clasico versus Barcelona. Real Madrid won the last game 2-0 and the game before that 4-1. So still 2 teams with everything to fight for in this game, and I would make the Real Madrid team the favorites in my mind, but it could end up a draw this one as well. We will quickly check on Unibet again for the double chance play. And we can see that this is on 142. 142 for a draw or Real Madrid win. Over to the Cup in France. PSG versus Nantes. PSG, of course, huge favorites. Only 122 in odds. And again, this is a cup. So do check the lineups before doing anything here. Last 5. PSG with 4 wins, 1 loss, and Nantes with only 2 wins and 2 losses, 1 draw. Last time the teams met, PSG won 1-0, and the time before that 1-0 as well. So they do have a tough time with Nantes. So again, if Cavani, Neymar, other players are out in this game of the starting lineup, play it live and be very careful in this one. 122 is just too low for me to do any pre-betting on, really. Next and last one then is from Scotland, Celtic versus St Mirren. Huge injury list for Celtic. 5 players out for St Mirren. Checking the head-to-head, we'll see that St Mirren has 2 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw. And Celtic has 4 wins and 1 draw the last 5. Celtic won 4-0 the last time the teams met, and it was a draw 0-0 before that. Odds on Celtic are only on 120. They did though win 4-0 last game this season. They should absolutely win it again today, but the odds on 120 and this huge injury list here is just not really appealing. And I would recommend to watch the first 20 minutes of the game and check from there if Celtic are the team pushing for the win. Okay, so that's it for this episode. I will be back tomorrow again with more analysis and odds tips, as there are even more Premier League games tomorrow. As always, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and Twitter for the latest updates. Also join the Discord community for live bets and other things. And of course my odds tips will be on screen in just a moment. See you all again tomorrow, and good luck with your bets.